Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Evan here. Evan, how are we doing today?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Not too shabby. We
Great.
This is, our baseball pods here, and we found out last night the results for this year's MLB Hall of Fame voting. So we're going to be breaking that down, giving some kind of opinions, like look at who got in, who maybe should have gotten in, and like kind of going over other people who fell off the ballot this year if they didn't receive that 5%, obviously required to stay on. Starting off, probably our easiest of everything to talk about, Ichiro Suzuki, one of the best players of all time, over 3,000 hits, 60 career WAR, 311 batting average, MVP, Rookie of the Year. Like, there's not too much. It's a 10-time Gold Glove. Like, I don't know what else you really need to say about him.
No. I just want to know what that one reporter was thinking, not voting him, man. There has to be some kind of backstory there. He must have gotten screwed by him somehow. I don't know.
It's got to be like the same thing like with Jeter. He was all but one. Somehow one person's like, you know what? Nah, Jeter ain't a Hall of Famer.
They just want their, 15 minutes of fame, you know?
It's like he should have been in unanimously, but it's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, 1 year, one and done on the ballot. That's all he needed. He's in. Good. I mean, good for
For
you.
sure. For sure. I think it's crazy. Started at 27 years old and was able to get 3,000 hits. That's insane, man. It was like 2,000 hits overseas.
Like 1,300, I think.
So, crazy, man. That's crazy.
He 9 straight seasons with over 200 hits in the bigs. So, just one of the best, just pure hitters of the baseball we've ever seen.
Yeah, it's underrated. His stolen base. He stole some bases in his early
he stole
days.
some bags too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that speed. That's why he was beating out all those infield singles.
Hey, they add up over time. They add up.
Oh yeah.
But
Next player obviously that did get in was CC Sabathia. He got in his first year with 86.8% of the votes, and kind of like with Ichiro, there's not a lot to really talk about with him. He's only one of 3 lefties all time with over 250 wins and 3,000 strikeouts. And that number right there usually is good enough to get you in the Hall of Fame. If you have over 3,000 strikeouts, you're deserving to be in the Hall.
yeah. I think I think he's 100% a Hall of Famer. But I do think people are like big on him because he had the Yankees. You know what I mean? Like I think there's some guys. Like I was looking at stats. Like obviously Greinke isn't eligible for the Hall of Fame yet. It'll be interesting if he'll get in. But what do you think he'll be first ballot?
Yeah, I mean, probably, I think, but he's also, all he needs to play is like 2-3 more games to get to 3,000 strikeouts.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Someone's got to
right
sign
there,
it.
so he's basically there. Yeah, CC, he won that Cy Young, obviously, in 07. He was integral to that year with the Brewers when he got traded halfway throughout the season. He got traded at the deadline to Milwaukee, helped them with that playoff push. Seemed like he was going CG every game for them, just absolutely incredible.
Oh, yeah.
6-time All-Star as well. He won ALCS MVP in 09 before obviously winning that World Series with the Yankees. So he did it in the big stages in the regular season and in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I mean, definition of a Hall of Fame career right there. You know what I mean? Like, did it from start to finish, you know? I mean, we pitched, was it 20 years about almost?
Yeah.
18 years? I mean, yeah. Can't ask for much more from CeCe there.
And yeah, the last player that actually did end up voting in this year was Billy Wagner in his 10th and final year on the ballot. After missing it by 5 votes last year, he gets in easily with 82.5% on the ballot.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his stats, so you're like, yeah, that's a Hall of Famer right there, you know? He's a 7-time All-Star, I believe. Yes, 7-time All-Star. I mean, career 2.31 ERA. I mean, how many strikeouts he had?
Oh, yeah. So, this is kind of the crazy thing. So, when you look at someone like, one of the big arguments with Wagner is that, like, he didn't throw enough innings. He was a closer for his entire career. So, you're throwing him in these high leverage situations day in, day out, every season. It's like he was a reliever who was a converted starter. He was a reliever that entire career, and he only threw 903 innings. But in that 903 innings, I mean, he was just straight on it, like you said with the ERA. Yeah, 1,196 strikeouts in just 900 innings. It is one of the, I forget the exact number, yeah, career 187 ERA plus since the live ball era in the early, I think, 1920s it is. He is one of the highest K per nines of all time when you look at the minimum of 900 innings pitched. He's up there with like Chris Sale and stuff because he has 11.9 strikeout per nine in that entire career, which is something you want to see out of your locked in every day just closer. And he is, I mean, I think probably without a doubt, he's the best lefty reliever of all time.
For sure, for sure. I mean, Mr. Reliable, right? I mean, guy just got outs every year. You know, I mean, you look at his numbers. I mean, did he really even have ever a really bad year? You know, like there's a lot of relievers I feel like in their career. There's always like a blow up year, you know, and he never really had that ever, you know. And again, another guy he played till he's 38, man. 15 years in the pros, like that plays for being a Hall of Famer.
Not only did he play 15 years, his last season in the league in 2010, where he probably could have kept going after, is in 2010. Yeah, like I said, at age 38, 1.43 ERA in 69 and a third innings, had 37 saves, struck out 104 batters. Like he was an all-star that year for the first time since 2008. I mean, he was incredible at age 38, still shutting down everybody. And then he retired on top.
Yeah. I guess. Hey, I mean, he got easily could have kept playing. I don't know what he's thinking there, man. Got a couple extra bucks. You know what I mean?
Maybe it wouldn't have taken until year 10 if he kept playing.
Yeah. Man.
Either way, yeah, it was good to see him finally get in. I mean, I'd been saying it for years. He should have been in a long time ago. I know a lot of people have been saying it for years. It was good to finally see him get that bump to that 75% and get in. Yeah, so now we're going to talk about the players who just nearly missed, players who probably should be in the Hall but aren't in quite yet, or, I mean, hopefully they do get in. Start off, we have Carlos Beltran, who on his third year of the ballot got 70.3% of the vote, so was the closest to getting in this year of the people who didn't. What are your thoughts about him, Evan?
I think he's getting screwed personally. I mean, like, you're taking stuff that wasn't a part of his career, and it's kind of like damaging, you know?
Part of his career?
I mean, like, when you're looking at a guy being a Hall of Famer, it shouldn't be like you said, like the 2017 kind of scandal, him being a part of that. Like, do you think that
the ringleader?
Okay, but do you think that should affect voting for whether he gets in?
Yes.
Really?
I would still vote for him, but it definitely should affect it.
Okay. I mean, you look at his career though; it's not a part of his professional playing career.
Yes,
you know what I mean. I thought he was coaching at that.
No,
wasn't
he was playing for the 2017 Astros. He was a player on the team who orchestrated this whole thing.
40 years old. I mean, yeah, that one hurts him, you know? I thought he was coaching.
No, he was playing. Played 129 games that year.
No, yeah. Well, you know, screw him, get him off the ballot. No. I mean, God, dude. I mean, 70 career WAR. I mean, he has outside. I mean, that's the only thing really keeping him off the ballot, right? I mean,
it seems like it.
70 career WAR, 435 bombs, almost 1,500 RBIs. I mean,
yeah, exactly. You said the 70 career WAR, 435 bombs. Also had 2,700 hits. Rookie of the Year, 3 Gold Gloves, 9 All-Stars, 2 Silver Sluggers. Not only that, he stole bags as well. He stole over 300 bases. He's one of only 5 players all time to steal over 300 bases and have over 400 home runs. It's up there with like Willie Mays and Barry Bonds and stuff. Who Barry Bonds is a whole different story. We don't need to talk about that now. But he should be in easily.
Yeah, 100%.
It just he does have that stain on his legacy, obviously from 2017. But I think because that's his last year in the league, like it's not like that really was propelling him to making him be made it be better that year, but he'd already done everything. He retired after this season. He'd done everything else in his career until this year with the Astros. So it just seems like even if you take out all those numbers, he still has enough and did enough in his career to be deserving of Cooperstown.
For sure. I mean, take out that year alone. Do you think he's voted in this year if that never happened?
If that never happened, he was probably since 30. He's probably in last year if I had to guess.
Yeah. That wasn't his last year, right?
It's only his third year on the ballot.
Okay. So yeah, he'll get in.
He'll get in easily. Probably the way he's trending, it'll probably be either next year or 2 years from now. So 26 or 27, we should be seeing Beltran get into the Hall of Fame.
For sure. Rightfully so. But that's another thing with the whole Astros scandal. Like, I feel like they're the ones that took the heat, but like I feel like a lot of teams were doing that. You know what I mean? They were
A
just
lot
the
of
ones.
teams were doing something, nothing
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at numbers. I mean, that's a whole nother thing you talk about. I feel like all numbers were boosted that year.
That was 2019.
2019.
2019 was juice player. This cheating scandal was 2017.
But like leading up to that, I feel like there was a ton of teams doing. Like I get like maybe not the whole trash can.
Nothing to the
know.
extent like because MLB obviously investigated. That's when they found the Astros did some stuff, but not the Astros, the Red Sox with Alex Cora and stuff. But nothing was to the extent of having a camera in center field, then relaying it to your dugout in live time, who's then relaying it to the batter, so they knew what pitch was coming.
I mean, you kind of gotta give them credit, bro. Like they didn't get caught till like a couple years later. You know what I mean? Like they deserve some credit.
I mean, it was not a dumb move, I'd say. I mean, it got him a ring.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that affects like Altuve's and their like Hall of Fame like bids?
I mean, I think Altuve is kind of like Beltran, where he's done enough. He also got the second ring in 2022 to kind of override it. And it also seemed like when they did all the reporting stuff on 2017, Altuve was like one of the only players who didn't use the trash can stuff.
He was the one with the buzzer though, right? Off Chapman. He's like, "Don't take off my shirt." Don't they use that?
I mean,
one,
that's
right?
what I mean. We'll never know, I guess, but he may or may not have been wearing a buzzer.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, I feel like that too. Like, I'm sure we'll talk about A-Rod and stuff too, but like, I think a dude that was juicing should have a better chance at the Hall of Fame than a guy that was cheating like that.
Well,
You know what I mean? Because like, you know it's coming. You know a fastball is coming. That's a lot easier to hit. I mean, like, yeah, like you're juicing, but like everybody's juicing
but you
at
still
that
have to
time.
put bat to ball.
Exactly. You know.
But yeah.
So.
Yeah, Bonds should be in. Clemens should be in. Sammy Sosa should probably be in. I mean, yeah, we'll get to A-Rod here. I mean, actually, we can just go into A-Rod here.
Yeah. Yeah.
A-Rod should 100% be in the Hall of Fame. If it wasn't for Derek Jeter being the captain of the Yankees, A-Rod should have been playing shortstop for them. And if he did, he would probably be the greatest shortstop of all time.
Oh, I mean, his prime alone, I think you could make the argument that he was. I mean, how many shortstops you seen hit 50 bombs, 50, 57, 47? You don't see that out of a shortstop.
No, ever. And not only that, he was an amazing defender at shortstop. He and then even when you move him to third in New York, he's still hitting for power. Hit 696 career home runs, over 3,000 hits. Tell me how that's not a Hall of Famer. Yes, he got popped for PDs. I don't really care. That's a Hall of Famer all day.
I mean, he still had to do it, man. He still had to do it. It's impressive how long, man. Like I can't believe he came up as an 18-year-old. You know how old, young 18 is? You know, that's crazy. That's insane. But like you said, I mean, I don't know. You can make the same argument for Bonds, same argument for Clemens. It's just like, I think these guys.
Clemens, 7 Cy Youngs, just dominant every single. Yeah, put him in the Hall.
Eventually, I think people like. It's one of those parts of baseball history they won't ever forget. You know, like probably when they die or something, they'll get in. Kind of like a Pete Rose. I mean, Pete Rose in it, but like I think eventually they're gonna let him in. You know,
Pete Rose should be in as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bonds, Clemens. It seems like we might have to wait. I don't know, 20 or some years. Then the Veterans Committee will finally be the ones to let him in.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. They're history, man. They're history.
Okay, so I got a question for you here, Dwyer.
Yeah.
What if I told you the greatest defensive center fielder of all time also hit 434 home runs?
You tell me I would say that's a Hall of Famer.
I would have to agree. Somehow Andrew Jones has spent 8 years on this ballot, and this year only received 66% of the votes.
I mean, there's no scandals I'm missing, right? I mean,
no. Yeah, 63 WAR, just shy of 2,000 hits, 434 home runs, 5 All-Stars, 10 Gold Gloves, the Silver Slugger, and he has the highest D WAR of 24.4, so defensive WAR, out of any player of all, like out of any center fielder of all time. And he also hit 434 home runs.
Yeah. I mean, looking at his hitting stats alone, like that's Hall of very good. And on top of being the greatest defender of all time, that should be like a no doubter. You know what I mean?
They were slam dunk.
100%.
People knock him for like those last 5 years of his career after he left Atlanta, where he didn't have it anymore. He just didn't have it anymore. So he was just, people kind of see him maybe as like a little bit of a compiler in his stats in some ways, but it's not like he did that much those years. He didn't play much, obviously didn't play good, and that's what people knock him for. But it's like you look at his entire Atlanta career, and just that alone, when you look at
it's a decade.
all of his, it's a decade. Yeah, 12 years. Well, I guess 11 because of he had his rookie year with only 30 games, but in 11 seasons or something. Yeah, he put up 61 WAR with basically all of his stats, 368 of his home runs, and then all 10 of his Gold Gloves, all of his All-Star appearances, his Silver Slugger, everything that makes him worthy of the Hall of Fame, he did before these last 5 just kind of scrub years, if you want to say.
Mm-hmm. It seems like, I think the thing with him is he's not like the popular name, you know? Like, you ask the baseball casual,
what
you know?
Wagner is.
That's a good point, though. That's a good point. Because it's like, what could there be a con to him not making it? Like, what would you, is there anything you could think of why he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame?
No, the argument I see is because of those last 5 years away from Atlanta. People knock him really hard for that for some reason when he's the best defensive center fielder of all time who also had over 400 home runs.
Yeah, I mean, it's like football with, like, you know, being the best punt returner. Like, you're the best at what you do. You know what I mean? That shouldn't be, you shouldn't be, like, taking away from that, you know? I mean, I agree, man. I don't know what we're missing here. We're missing something. I don't know. I don't know what it is, though.
He's got 2 years left on the ballot. Hopefully we can, like, he gets that push, kind of like we saw Billy Wagner get his last couple years, and he can find a way. He needs to jump only about 9%, so it's very doable. But it might be we were waiting on that 10th year to see if he can just barely sneak in there.
You to predict it right now. Prediction right now. Does he get in?
Yes.
That's good. That's going to be a good day.
If he doesn't, there's something wrong.
We riot.
Exactly. We riot if he doesn't get in.
Yeah.
You know, really, another player we do want to mention here, it's Chase Utley. It's his second year on the ballot. He jumped up to about 40%, so he's tracking really nicely into getting into the Hall of Fame. I just want to know, what are your thoughts here on Chase Utley?
I mean, another one of those guys. 64.5 WAR. I mean, just done it his entire career again. Like, Philly's legend, first off. Philly's legend. I mean,
Dodgers
like,
legend.
It's the Mets fans, the Dodgers, they hate him. You know, like, they hate him.
Dodgers,
you know?
it's the Mets fans.
The Mets fans.
Okay. It might just be me. Not as bad of a play as people say it is.
That's don't say it to a Mets fan. Don't say it to a Mets. I mean, like, yeah, it's a part of the rules. Like, it isn't a part of like
exactly. It was within the rules at the time.
Yeah.
You're in the playoffs of all spots, and you're trying to break up a double play and score a run in the playoffs. Why wouldn't you do what people have done all throughout MLB history and take out the shortstop on the slide or second baseman?
For sure. That's just, yeah, exactly. If that was any other player, that could have been some pinch runner or something, we wouldn't be still talking about it. You know, it's just because it was Chase Utley and all that, you know. But
I don't know. You look at Chase Utley, especially for second baseman stats. You see, he's just shy of he's at 1885 hits, or just shy of that 2,000. Which, as we look more in this modern day, it's becoming more of a benchmark than you see. Like, if you get 3,000, obviously you're a shoo-in. You're going to be first ballot, stuff like that. Seems like now, especially when you have a second baseman, if you can get right around that 2,000 hits, that's really good for you. Like you said, the 64.5 WAR. They also put up 259 home runs, which when you have a position like second base, which is not a known power position, that's something that's really good. So Utley's an interesting case. Like, when if you check out our website at theuntouchaballs.wordpress.com, I upload an article I think about 2 weeks ago now, where I went over the Hall of Fame bracket ballot and who I would vote for. I left Chase Utley off this year. I think he's really close. I think he's probably one of, if not the closest out of the people like who I didn't vote for. I just think it's interesting with him because you have to obviously look like the stats aren't for some other players Hall of Fame worthy, but you got to look at like the position he played, which is second base, and it makes his case really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at his numbers, like I'd have Andrew Jones in the Hall of Fame before him. You know what I mean?
I mean, Andrew Jones should have been.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But it's just like, it's funny though how it works with the Hall of Fame, right? It's like, oh, maybe next year, but it isn't like he played. It isn't like anything affects with his numbers. It's just like, oh, 2 years.
No, it's because voters are weird.
They're weirdos, man. They're weirdos.
Because the BBWAA is a bunch of weirdos who are like, this year I don't think I should vote for him, but next year I got him.
So if I let you be baseball commissioner, right? And I'll be like, all right, Caden, I'm putting you in charge, or you are in charge. You're in charge of how Hall of Fame voting works. How would you change it? Or would you keep it?
Oh. One thing I would change is we need to get rid of the character clause. I think it's the stupidest thing that it gets taken into account for Hall of Fame voting. The Hall of Fame is about what these players did on the field. Mm-hmm. Ty Cobb, who is known as being one of the biggest dicks in the entire world, is in the Hall of Fame and got in there easily. And then you have someone like Kurt Schilling, who should be in the Hall of Fame. He got that co-World Series MVP in 01. Over 3,000 career strikeouts, absolutely dominant, easily a Hall of Fame pitcher. But reporters don't like him. So they're like, no, I'm not going to vote for him, even though based on what he did on the field, which is what the Hall of Fame is, he should easily be in.
Yeah. Like he's the one that doesn't get talked about enough. Like you talk about Bonds and all like that. Like, yeah, that's pure. Like his career was...
He didn't even do PEDs, and he pitched during the PED era, and should easily be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy. He'll get it. He'll get it. He's another one of those guys. Like they'll wait forever.
The Veterans Committee better put him in.
100%. They will. They have to. I mean, would you change like? Would you do fan voting for Hall of Fame?
No, never. It's already bad enough with the All-Star game. It's already awful when it comes to the All-Star game. You think we're going to let the Hall of Fame be decided by these fans who are like, no, he's my favorite player. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
Dude, let him in.
No.
Jim Dwyer. Vote for him for Hall of Fame.
Jim Dwyer. I would vote for Jim Dwyer.
No,
he has a World Series home run.
Does he? Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
It's like 77 career home runs.
Hall of Fame.
Let him in. Hall of man. That's what I'm saying. But it's hard. I don't know how you would do if you were to change up the voting. How would you do it? Like, would you what about past players do it?
I don't know I don't know exactly what you would do. I think if you want to be able to vote, you can't have an empty ballot. I think that's got to be something. Like, you'll have clear Hall of Famers on some of these ballots, and people just will be like, no, I'm not going to vote for anyone this year. And it's like, that's just, that shouldn't be a thing, especially when you have, it seems like at least one player each year who should be in the Hall of Fame, and you have a lot of people just turning in blank ballots. Like, it seems like do you even want to have your position as a voter anymore?
Is there a specific, do they release the amount of voters there are?
This year it was 434.
Yeah, that's a pretty prestigious club.
Wait, 394. 394. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a prestigious club. Like, what are you doing, man? You don't get that. Just that's something you're given. You should be able to give back a little bit. You know what I mean? Half these writers never played ball like that before. I don't know. That's why I hate the writers thing, because it's writers were awesome. They're sick people. But, I don't know. It's the players, you know what I mean? The Kurt Schillings or the Barry Bonds. Who are you to say, he gets in the Hall of Fame or doesn't, But, again, how would you change that? There's no way to change that, It isn't but that's just me.
Last player, though, I do want to mention here before we go into talking about the people who fell off the ballot this year is because he's a really interesting case about what we're going to see about when a lot of these current day pitchers start retiring. It's Felix Hernandez. It was his first year on the ballot this year. He debuted at 20.5% of the vote, so it's a promising start for him, but he's just an interesting case because you look, 50 career WAR, which is great. He had the Cy Young, the perfect game, but he didn't play that long. I mean, he stopped being good after he was about 30.
Yeah.
And his innings pitched, he only threw about a little over 2,700 innings. He has 2,500 strikeouts, which is good. It's just he's going to really be a test to see how he does. Is what we're going to see when players like a Chris Sale and Jacob deGrom, when they start retiring and getting put on these ballot, he's going to be like this first player where we see like what are the writers going to think about them.
Yeah, I mean, like, his peak's definitely Hall of Fame, but, like, he just didn't do it enough, I don't think. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough, you know? It's tough. He's one of those guys, like, I had the opportunity to see him pitch when he was older. It was pretty cool. But, like, he's one of those guys, man, he just has so many innings on him. He had so many miles. Like, came up as a 19-year-old. Like, you don't see that with pitchers like that too often, you know? Like, I don't know, he just seemed like one of those guys that, like, yeah, like you said, like by the time he was 30, man, like, it got rough. It got rough, you know, like. But man, that peak, he was nice. It was really nice.
His peak was crazy. Yeah, that's why he's going to be this conversation where it's like, you might have not played the longest time, whether it be like a DeGrom or what we see with Chris Sale. That it's going to kind of just be interesting because I think someone like Jacob deGrom is, I mean, he's probably my favorite player I've ever seen, like in my lifetime that I've watched. But it's going to be interesting to try to like how to justify a vote for him when he's had some of these most dominant pitching seasons that we've seen since the turn of the century. But also he hasn't pitched like a lot by any means.
Yeah. But he has how many, 2 or 3 Cy Youngs?
He has 2 Cy Youngs, which helps a lot. I think same with Sale. I think because he is probably like my favorite players I've ever seen, watched, like especially growing up and stuff. It was Jacob deGrom, Chris Sale, and Corey Kluber. Like those were my
Sale's backdoor slider, man. I think Sale was screwed until he got that MVP or that Cy Young.
That's what I'm saying, because him with the White Sox, easy Hall of Fame trajectory, looking amazing. He was great in 2018 when the World Series won that ring, so he got the ring that year too. And then he just
for the next 5 years, he was just gone. He was just gone.
He wasn't
you know,
pitching
like
when he was. It wasn't awesome. Gets right to the Braves, has an amazing season, wins the Triple Crown, gets that Cy Young. So his case will be really interesting. And same with deGrom. I just hope with them we can get a couple more healthy years and then kind of see, follow along with Felix's case going forward on the ballot and see what happens with him and how writers are going to kind of react once the Sale and deGroms get there.
Felix, I agree. I think Felix is like, he retired, like, let's just say, like, Sale and deGrom retired right now. That's where, like, they would be in that same kind of discussion. You know what I mean?
Kind of. I mean, I think Felix has more innings than both of them, but...
Yeah. True.
But
like,
even
if you
still...
had Felix a World Series in there and another Cy Young or something, I think his case is a lot stronger. You know, but that's
I'd probably vote for deGrom and Sale over Felix.
Mm-hmm. For sure, I agree.
Yeah. Like, even with Sale finally getting a Cy Young this year, it seemed every year it seemed like it was with the White Sox, he was finishing top 3 in Cy Young voting. He was just going against incredible seasons every year that he couldn't get over that hump until finally last season.
For sure. I wouldn't be shocked to put it past him again this year, man. I mean, like, the Braves look loaded this year, you know, even losing Fried. You know, like, he does it again, deGrom does it again. Like, I feel like that at this point, like, it's they could really boost their case. You know what I mean? Like, and another world, like, deGrom has a World Series, but, like, you know, it's like a Frank Thomas World Series, you know? Like, I don't know. It's like, not really, but.
You know, all I'm praying for a healthy deGrom season.
That'd be so nice. It's like him, like Trout, these guys. Just one more just crazy year. One more. Like, you know he's going to be a monster when he comes back, you know? Like, it's just the health. It's always the health.
Yep. And so, yeah, before we get out of here, though, we want to go over just kind of briefly the players who lost their position on the ballot this year. I mean, not a lot of names that really you could see having the best of arguments to stand on. Like, Fernando Rodney's obviously not a Hall of Famer. Same with Hanley, my boy Cargo. Love Cargo. Rocky's Hall of Famer.
Rocky's legend.
Not an MLB Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Rocky's legend.
Adam Jones, nothing. Curtis Granderson, nothing. Tulo, Rocky's legend.
Rocky's
not
legend.
a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And then, like, the interesting case, I guess, like, would it be like a Russell Martin, Brian McCann, both of those. It seems like they maybe should have been able to stay on, like, for another year or so, just kind of see, because they have an interesting case where they were never the best catchers in the league at any given time. But you look at, like, some of their defensive stats, they were better framers than Yachty, who people consider the best defensive catcher they've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And then they also put up better offensive numbers than Yachty, and it seems like Yachty's going to be like a easy Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say Russell Martin and Brian McCann are really Hall of Famers by any means. But even their WAR stacks up like they're, I think, top 25 catchers all time in WAR. That it just seems kind of weird that they would have fallen off after this only 1 year on the ballot.
Yeah, I mean, who has the most WAR for a catcher career? Do you know?
If I believe I think it would have to be Johnny Bench.
Okay. 32 WAR for Brian McCann. I mean, but like you said, like, this is the whole argument with Andrew Jones. You know, like, you got to take defense into account. But, like, again, like his numbers aren't even like his numbers kind of look pretty similar to like Chase Utley's. I mean, you know, like when you look at his hitting numbers, you know, and like okay, average is a little lower than what Utley's was, but like OPS wise, home runs wise, it's pretty similar. And catcher, and like if you get 294 career home runs, like that's a pretty solid, like that's a great catcher. You know, like, that's a guy I want on my team. You know.
Yeah, no, the all time it is Johnny Bench. He had 75.1 career WAR.
Man.
And the next closest is Gary Carter at 70.
Dang. Whew. It's pretty nice right there.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But, yeah, I think a lot of these guys, though, you're right. It's kind of like a lot of, like, Hall of Very Goods, you know? Like, we love them. We will Ring of Honor, maybe, for, like, their homer teams, but, like...
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems like, out of most of these people who dropped off, none of them really even deserve consideration. It just seems like with those two catchers, they deserve at least another year or two on the ballot to at least have people thinking about it, looking at their candidacy.
I mean, hey, yeah, that's right. Hey, Hall of Fame, man. It's a brutal business.
It's a brutal business.
It's cutthroat.
Well, you got anything else before we depart here, Dwyer?
No, I don't think so. You know, just looking forward to spring training. You know, getting the season on a roll.
Pitchers and catchers reporting, and then keep looking out, guys, because we're going to keep pumping out these baseball episodes for you. Obviously, not as much here during the offseason. Once the season going, we'll get you more out to you as we go. As obviously football will be done, so we won't have all that to talk about. So keep looking out for more baseball episodes. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload, share this video with your friends, family, strangers, neighbors, anything like that, and check out the website, theuntouchaballs.wordpress.com. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you all next time.
Peace.